The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.
For millions of Americans who retire every year, the task of ensuring that your money is working hard enough to provide you with a consistent paycheck can make the job of working for that paycheck seem easy. Retirement doesn't signal the end of financial worry. In fact, for the majority of retirees, it's just the beginning. The assets you have built must be able to provide you and your family with financial security for all the years to come. That's why you need a game plan for retirement, making sure you have a plan and that your money is working hard to provide you with an income you can depend on. This is Your Game Plan for Retirement.
And welcome into Your Game Plan for Retirement, the show that challenges some of the traditional financial planning concepts and some of the outdated conventional wisdom on how to build for financial and retirement success. We talk about the income allocation model that has proven to provide for more financial stability and freedom than the Wall Street model and more predictability in retirement. We always check in with your local income allocation advisors on the program. And from Pennsylvania in the Poconos and the Lehigh Valley, Josiah Grauso joining us on the program today from ASC Financial Group, a retirement built to last. Josiah, welcome back to Your Game Plan for Retirement.
Thanks, Peter. It's great to be here.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the program, sharing your time with us, and we do appreciate that you lend us your knowledge and expertise. Josiah, we've talked about this fundamental transition that has occurred maybe over the last 15 to 20 years in the way that retirees are facing the challenges that are in front of them when it becomes time to transition into retirement. And we are talking about the fundamental difference here between maybe the past generation that retired on income streams with pensions and Social Security to today's generation that is more focused on the assets that they are able to accumulate. This is causing some difficulties when we are planning for our financial future into and through retirement, isn't it?
Absolutely, Peter. I mean, some of the big issues that we see kind of going forward is while we're working, a lot of our income plan that we have is basically the more I work, the more I get paid, the more income I have. If I want to go on a trip or a vacation, I save up some money, I'm able to go and do that. Well, in retirement, the past generations which had more of a focus on income, things like that had pensions or defined benefit plans, had the options to do that. They had a steady guaranteed paycheck every single month that was coming in. They knew that was coming in regardless if they spent the money or they didn't. Well, in today's generation, we now have a lump sum set of money typically that we've got to spend from. And if we go on a vacation or we use that and we're dipping into our nest egg, if we're not growing that money anymore, if we're not making enough to increase that account, eventually that account's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and we don't have that ability to save really anymore and to increase that account. So this could prove to be a very difficult time for somebody who hasn't properly planned for their retirement.
And if you spend that money, say on a major purchase, a new car, maybe a dream vacation that you've always envisioned to take in retirement, or new home improvements, whatever the case is, if you make a large expenditure out of your nest egg, your asset base, not only is that money not growing any longer, but you've just depleted your income base with which to take future income payments from for the duration of your retirement.
Absolutely. This is something that we talk, and I'm sure if our listeners out there have heard several times, both Ralph and myself talking about, are things called sequence risk. Now, when we talk about sequence risk, typically that's talking about how market fluctuations can impact your account value, our lump sum nest egg, as we're drawing out money. But the same situation happens if we start drawing out more above and beyond what our budget allows for these additional expenditures. It's just making that nest egg grow smaller and smaller. And the only way to increase that back up is we may need to increase our risk, which could have a negative impact depending on what's going on in our market volatility.
So when we are looking at this sequence risk, at the ability to produce income, we have to know and understand these important factors as we are planning and preparing for our retirement or early on in retirement to make sure we have as much security and stability for the duration of our retirement. And folks, if those are concerns for you, if you are looking at retirement in the near future or maybe already retired and you want to make sure that you are properly positioned, that your assets are providing you with the most potential security possible, pick up the phone and give a call to the team from ASC Financial Group. A retirement built to last is their motto, and that's what they have provided to residents of the Poconos, the Lehigh Valley, and Allentown. And if you are looking for some guidance and insight on making sure or just double checking to get a second opinion that you are positioned correctly, paying the least amount in fees possible, minimizing your tax liabilities, that's what Josiah Grauso and the team at ASC Financial Group are there for, and they make their time available to you on a complimentary, no obligation basis. Just pick up the phone and give them a call if you have questions or concerns or would like that financial review and second opinion. 800-939-8633 is the number to call. That's 800-939-8633. And Josiah, I have to imagine as you are having this discussion with folks and reviewing their outlook for retirement, the projections, you're talking about things that sometimes seem basic, like income, liabilities, expenses, needs, and wants, but that's really what's going to make up a big portion of whether or not somebody is truly positioned correctly to achieve their future financial goals.
When you talk about budgeting, in our firm here in our office, whenever we sit down and we do a review with somebody, whether they're an existing client or somebody that's called our office from our listeners from the radio show or attended some of our educational workshops that we host in the Lehigh Valley and Pocono area, a lot of times when they come in, they sit down with us, there's times where they have a solid idea and picture of where they are, where they want to be, and how they want to get there, and just maybe need a couple of pieces to help glue this plan all together. At other times, I've got people that come in and says, my whole life, all I've done is I've worked and in my job, they forced me to take a couple, dollars out of my paycheck to force me to put it into my 401k and keep me on a budget. I'm worried when I retire next year, how am I going to budget this money? How am I going to make sure I'm drawing on this money for the rest of my life and that I don't run out of it? That's my biggest fear. That's my biggest concern. And that actually is the number one fear that really faces retirees in America today is running out of money, living too long and not having enough income to sustain them. And that's why understanding the proper fundamental steps of a budget and how your retirement assets are going to be working for you in the 20, 25, 30 years of your retirement is a real crucial piece in order to have a successful retirement. And that is something that we are trying at ASC Financial Group to bring to our listeners and to bring to our community is this educational information in order to make proper decisions. We really believe that the more educated we are on income planning and sequence risk and diversification, the more we can understand from that, the better decisions that we can make. And we encourage anybody who would like to have more information on these several different topics, please take the time out to sit down with one of us from here at the team and let us give the opportunity to review any types of concerns that you might have that are out there. And this is only going to benefit you as the client, you as the listener out there.
And again, for that complimentary review, evaluation, or just discussion about your financial goals and what your money is doing to help you achieve those, pick up the phone and give a call to ASC Financial Group for a retirement built to last. 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. And I know when you're figuring out a budget, talking about this possibility or fear of retirees of running out of money, the liabilities, the expenses are certainly going to be a part of that, but that's only one side of the budget. We also have to look at the income side, what is coming in, and there are a few sources of potential income in retirement that we have not had during our working careers. In fact, we've been putting money away for things such as Social Security, and our company may have been putting money away for us, such as pensions. These streams of income that are specifically designed to support us and provide some predictability for the income that we will be able to have on that side of the budget ledger. And Josiah, I know that you and the team there at ASC Financial Group spend a particular amount of time and place importance on maximizing those sources of potential income with Social Security and pensions. And that's part of that process as well, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Peter. There's a lot of different information that is out there, honestly, and some can be conflicting depending on who you talk to. Some experts, so-called experts out there, will tell you, wait and don't take out Social Security until the last possible moment you can in order to get the largest amount. Other so-called experts out there will tell you to grab your Social Security at the earliest possible convenience you can. And honestly, the answer is it's somewhere in the middle of the road there, because for everybody, there's going to be a different answer to that or a different solution to that problem. The understanding that you need to have out there, though, is what is the best decision for me that directly will impact my family or my retirement. There is not one shoe that fits all. The same thing that comes into with income planning of guaranteed streams of income. We hit on Social Security. When is the proper time to take it out? For each person, it might be a little bit different. Same thing comes in with a pension. One of the things that most people don't talk about with their pensions is majority of the time, or few and far between that I have seen, has something called a COLA, a cost of living adjustment. And what we all know out there, what costs money today, a gallon of milk, is typically going to cost significantly more 10, 20, 30 years from now. So we need to make sure that these retirement plans and these income plans address these concerns like inflation risk or running out of money too early, that we address these type of concerns in a proper, well-rounded plan that is provided to you.
But again, Josiah, the listeners have the opportunity to, taking into account individual circumstances and considerations, talk with you or the team there at ASC Financial Group and receive a review, evaluation, and get recommendations on how they should incorporate Social Security or pension decisions into their larger game plan for retirement just by calling, correct?
Yeah, and I'll actually throw something out there for some of our younger listeners out there, maybe somebody who's 65 or younger who hasn't started collecting on Social Security yet. One of the things we provide for our clients and for people who come and take advantage of the complimentary review process we go through is a Social Security analysis. And we're going to kind of go over the top 2 or 3 solutions that will provide the largest amount of income potential to you. With that being said, the number one income maximization tool or option may not be the best for you. How does it fit into your retirement plan? If you can't wait until 70, it may make sense to wait a little bit longer or take the Social Security out a little bit earlier and draw on some of our retirement assets in order to bridge a gap and stretch out our Social Security, stretch out our retirement assets as long as possible. So we do that type of income planning and review with a Social Security analysis with each and every one of our clients, as well as listeners who attend our review process.
Well, folks, if you would like that complimentary Social Security review, analysis, and report that is customized for your individual set of circumstances, along with a little guidance on how to incorporate that decision into your larger plans for retirement, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-939-8633. Again, that number to reach ASC Financial Group for a retirement built to last, 800-939-8633. And that Social Security review, analysis, and report, Josiah, you would say that is really something that would be appropriate for somebody who is within earshot of taking Social Security, going to claim and collect tomorrow, or what is sort of the time frame or window there that would be appropriate?
Yeah, I would tell you it's that's a little bit more difficult because it depends on when some people are planning on retiring. I've got some people in my office came in at 60 years old, 62 years old, who were thinking about retiring. Most of these are from teachers, and they wanted to turn on their Social Security. However, some of the people don't realize by taking out an early retirement benefit, there could be some penalties if you decide to go back to work that the Social Security Administration forces on you by taking an early benefit. So I honestly think that anybody probably between the ages of 60 and maybe 65, 66 who do have a retirement goal in mind of when they're looking to retire would probably be very beneficial to understand how that Social Security is going to play into their retirement plan.
And penalties that you just mentioned there, and maybe some other potential unknowns like taxes on the Social Security. Sure. I assume that is also part of the discussion?
Without question. And that's a great point you brought up, Peter, because some people don't even realize, they think, when we paid into Social Security, that got taken out of the money that we worked hard for, we were already taxed on. And unfortunately, the government says if you make too much money, again, in retirement, as you're drawing out that Social Security, up to from 50% to even 85% of your Social Security can be counted as ordinary income tax again. And there's some strategies and tips and solutions for some people can maximize on how to reduce that tax liability. But we want to take that into consideration as we put a plan together to see if we are even capable of utilizing some of these solutions and tax planning relief efforts that we have.
Well, again, we are talking about the retirement budget here on Your Game Plan for Retirement, and speaking with Josiah Grauso of ASC Financial Group, a retirement built to last. And folks, if you would like to have that complimentary review and evaluation, the report generated for you on your Social Security outlook and some options for you for how to incorporate that to make the most of that benefit throughout retirement, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-939-8633. Again, that number, 800-939-8633. And even if you've already made the decision and already collecting Social Security, you still want to make the most of your personal assets and make sure that each dollar that you've worked so hard for is also in turn now working as hard for you as it can. And they will help to make sure that that is also occurring. 800-939-8633. As we're talking about the retirement budget, and as a financial advisor, Josiah, I know that you realize that money is obviously very important, but not necessarily the most important thing. In fact, it's really a tool to support what is important to us in our lifetimes, a tool to support our values. In fact, the Secretary of Treasury, Jacob Lew, gave a quote that the budget is not just a collection of numbers, but an expression of our values and aspirations. I find that kind of ironic coming from a government official, though.
Yeah, no, it is ironic coming from a government official to say that.
But there's truth in it.
Apps, and I was just about to say, I said, however, he's not far off of the point. It is very true. A budget is not just sitting down and saying, how much was my mortgage? How much is my car payment? How much am I going to be spending for healthcare? This, that, and the other thing. Unfortunately, we're very short-sighted when we do that of just listing numbers, but we don't take a look at what are the values are. What are the lifestyle we want to be living in? For example, how much do you go out and eat now? Are you going to be doing the same type of thing in retirement? Are you going to be doing more than that, less than? Are you going to be going out golfing more on a weekly basis instead of it being maybe once a month, you're going out once a week, and we have to add that into your budget? The idea is saying there are some things that we have to do, and we want to make sure we have those liabilities, those expenses set out in a firm position. But then we also want to make sure some more of those tangible types of expenses that we have out there, that we have that lifestyle or want to have a position in our budget. Unfortunately, there may be some times where we have to minimize those lifestyle or want to have expenses in our budget. But until we really combine those two numbers together, that's really where we can get our effective income number or effective budget retirement number in order to make all the different decisions that we have without our retirement.
So are you seeing that maybe budgeting or lack of budgeting today in some of the people across the Lehigh Valley and the Poconos is potentially leaving them with an obvious shortfall into the future that you can identify in that review process, and that maybe just by finding that out and doing a few things early on, you could possibly prevent that shortfall into the future without feeling too much pain today or a drastic change in lifestyle?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we talk about is a difference or a shortfall that you have from what we have as guaranteed income coming in into what we have as expenses or leftover money that we want to draw on for additional uses, going on a vacation or something else, buying a new car, those type of situations. And the idea is really making sure that we know every dollar of our retirement income that comes into us, what's being utilized for it, where it has to go to pay either for bills, to pay our taxes, if we have anything left over that we can put some savings so we can build up later down the road. But we also want to make sure that we can spend it, enjoy our golden years, and have fun. But making sure you have a proper plan, and a plan that is constantly being evaluated and being shifted and changing on different market environments, political environments, or even family situations is vital and is key to having a successful retirement.
And We've talked about budgeting. For somebody who has been able to save $500,000 or $1 million or even more than that, budgeting may seem like an elementary kind of financial exercise, but do you feel that it is just as important for the folks with $200,000 as it is for the folks with $2 million, or is there some leeway there where it becomes a less important item when planning and preparing for retirement?
If you're Donald Trump, it's probably not as important. But I would say for most of our listeners here in the Northeast and the Poconos, it really is the number you have into retirement isn't as crucial as knowing what that budget is. Not everybody's lifestyle is the same. Some lifestyles are very well and can utilize a $200,000 nest egg only into a very successful retirement, because they know exactly where their guaranteed streams of income are coming through, and they budget accordingly. Same hand as a person with maybe $1 million who thinks that they're very, very successful, yet has a lifestyle of $180,000 a year. They're not going to have a successful retirement, even though they may have had a successful career or work history. Without that proper budgeting and really utilizing the correct numbers, it all hinges upon knowing exactly what you want to do, how you want to do it, and how it's going to be accomplished. Even things as simple as making sure you have money that's left over for your children or grandchildren, some form of an inheritance, that can be part of your income plan budget. Or I've got some other clients who have the best retirement plan out there, which is spend the last dollar the last day you're alive, which is very hard to do because we don't know when that time is. But whatever your goals are, we want to make sure that we have a plan that is properly situated, that meets up with your lifestyle. And at times, we take a really hard look at it if we need to make certain changes to that lifestyle to make this retirement plan successful.
So it sounds like, Josiah, that you believe that to have a retirement built to last, finding your magic retirement number lies more within the budget figures rather than the lump sum we've been able to save.
Without question. I think back to that Prudential commercial that
Right.
talks about, well, what's
Yeah.
your number? What's your number? What's your number? Those numbers are insignificant without that budget. You need to know what you're going to be spending on, what you're going to be looking for, and what your aspirations are in order to determine what that number is.
And I know that you are a proponent of this income allocation model, which is a relatively new phenomenon, a new model that has been put forward, sort of challenging the Wall Street asset allocation model, and that through utilizing proper income planning with the income allocation approach, really the goal is to minimize the amount of money it's going to take to meet that budget, leaving you more discretionary funds available to enjoy yourself and do lifestyle type of spending throughout retirement.
It's a different mindset. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say that the Wall Street model is broken. It is not effective. It has a 58% failure rate. And with the idea of income allocation, if we can shift our mindset really from what that number is and how we have to have that money grow and diversify over stocks and bonds and all the different ideas that Wall Street comes up with, we can really drill down into what is our budget, what is our expenses, what is our income plan generating, how much monthly income are we going to need, and if we can carve out a portion out of that lump sum into an income allocated plan that governs all of our expenses, that has an ability of step-ups that increase based on inflation or market increasing or dropping down, that we can address those concerns so that the remaining amount that we've got in our lump sum or our nest egg, that money, how it either grows or it may diminish or draw down, isn't affected on a successful retirement plan. So if you want to go on vacation and we have that discretionary money, we know we can access that without having to eat ramen noodles the following month because we didn't make as much money in the market or the market dropped down. And so now we have to cut our expenses by not going out to eat as much this month. I don't think that's a successful way to live. I don't think that's a successful way to budget for retirements. And keep in mind, this is going to be for 20, 25, 30 years. If we can carve out this position so we know we have a guaranteed amount of income coming in that answers some of the solutions we have to market risk or inflation risk, drawdown risk, longevity risk, if we can get a plan that covers these obstacles in retirement, it's a more successful plan that we'll have. In fact, for anybody who does take advantage of this review or consultation process, we have this great book by David Gaylor, Income Allocation, that we really believe heavily on, and we would love that to be our free parting gift for you or educational gift for you to truly understand how an income allocation model can truly benefit somebody in retirement and how to have them receive a successful retirement by utilizing some of these strategies.
Well, great educational additional piece that you can pick up there from ASC Financial Group. If you come in for a meeting, review, and evaluation, they do place heavy importance on information and education, and that book can be a part to further your education. And again, you can receive that book by coming in for that complimentary review and evaluation. All you have to do is call from today's show, 800-939-8633. Again, that's 800-939-8633. Josiah, as we close out, you had mentioned earlier that planning and success in retirement takes constant reevaluation. And I would like to have you explain a little bit about maybe the process of somebody getting started with your group and what would occur if they did call in for that complimentary review and evaluation, and then what the long-term outlook is for continued correspondence and communication, what the relationship with ASC Financial Group really is like for an individual listening in the Lehigh Valley, Allentown, or the Poconos.
Yeah, well, the way we work at our firm is we want to make sure we give a lot of value added to people who to take the time out of their day to sit down and try to grasp control of their retirement and take proactive steps in order to create a successful retirement. And so one of the things that we like to do is we take things in a process in order to uncover, understand if there's any types of financial obstacles or types of concerns or risks that we have, and we want to make sure it's brought into the forefront. And with some of the people who sit down with us, they're comfortable with some of these market risks that they may be experiencing or they may be showing. They may be very good managers of knowing how to time the market and going in and going out. Unfortunately, too often we see too many people who just didn't realize the risk that they were facing. And they've got a portfolio for somebody who's maybe 30 years old instead of somebody who's looking to retire in a couple of months. And so that's where we take a step in, and we want to make sure we're educated as well as give really proactive solutions on how to solve some of these areas of concern and how to really take control of some of these risks and concerns that we have, and how to really develop a traditional budget plan, knowing what kind of income we may need in the future, and putting that income plan with recommendations in a process all together in a nice, easy to understand information that we can really pass out to those who kind of sit down with us and just take the time out of their day to really find out, well, am I in a good position, or am I going to have some shortfalls and some gaps in my retirement plan that I'm going to need to address? And so for anybody else out there, any of our listeners here who really want to take advantage of this plan, I encourage you to pick up the phone, call the number, take some time instead of no-cost complimentary consultation with either myself or somebody from my office, one of our team members, and we really understand what is going on in your retirement plan, what we can do to maybe solve some of these risks and concerns, and where do we move forward on an ongoing, monitored basis every single year, as well as educational courses that we run in our classes as well.
Well, that's the approach that can lead to having a retirement built to last that ASC Financial Group finds so important. And the income allocation model, that review process, is all about preventing volatility or variables outside of your control from ultimately determining your comfort and your lifestyle. Folks, take a little bit more control over your financial future. Make sure that you are doing the best things with your money. I highly encourage you to pick up the phone right now and take Josiah Grauso, Ralph Grauso, and the team from ASC Financial Group up on that offer for a complimentary financial review and evaluation. I am positive that you will leave having realized measurable benefits, and you can also pick up a copy of the book Income Allocation to learn about these newer models that are showing to provide for more financial success in retirement. Pick up the phone to take them up on that offer again for the complimentary financial review and evaluation at no cost and no obligation to you. 800-939-8633. That's 800-939-8633. Josiah, time moving by very quickly on the program. We're all out of time for today, but we certainly appreciate you being here with us on Your Game Plan for Retirement. Thank you very much.
Have a great day, Peter.
We'll look forward to speaking with you next week.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group is solely an indication that the financial advisor has attended training provided by Ed Slott and Company, passed biannual examinations on material covered at conferences and in webinars, and met other membership requirements, and does not constitute an endorsement of any kind. Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group members pay a fee for the educational programs that allow them to be included in the Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group. Membership does not guarantee investment success. Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.